Ohio are already having snow days. Plus, across the country, people are bundling up as low temperatures are breaking records. And in sports, the Ohio football team plays its final home game tonight against Western Michigan. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch, your source for all news out of southeastern Ohio. I'm Anna Azalian. Thank you for joining us. The weather today in the region looks more like January than November. This is College Green at Ohio University in Athens this afternoon. The snow fell overnight and into this morning, and temperatures dropped across Ohio. Some of that sticking to the ground, as you can see there. But the snow didn't just come down in Athens. This video was taken near Cincinnati. Ohio's Department of Transportation says crews have been clearing and treating roads around the state as temperatures continue to fall. In central Ohio, dozens of schools canceled or delayed classes because of snow and near recorded low temperatures. Roads are still icy in portions of southern and central Ohio, but the heaviest accumulations are expected to happen near Cleveland. And in Kentucky, state police are offering drivers tips to stay safe on the roads. In a post on Facebook yesterday, police recommended you should allow for more time to get places, make sure your windows and mirrors are completely cleared, and not to use cruise control. Now let's head over to WOUB forecaster Alyssa Lanier to see what the rest of the week is looking like.
Hi, I'm forecaster Alyssa Lanier from the Newswatch Weather Center. Right now in Athens, temperatures are dropping and it's 24 degrees under partly cloudy skies. It feels like 17 degrees, so it does feel very, very chilly. The pressure is 30.39 inches and rising, and the winds are from the northwest at 6 miles an hour. Across the region right now, it is 24 in Athens, 27 in Ripley, 27 in Ironton, 27 in Jackson, 23 in Chillicothe, 25 in Columbus, 22 in Newark, 25 in Cambridge, 26 in New Martinsville, all under partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. In Athens last night, we got 0.5 inches of snow. That isn't a lot compared to the 5 to 6 inches of snow in northeastern Ohio. The next line, the headlines for the next few days, it will be a cold week ahead. And there will be a slight warm up at the end of the week, and there will be fair weather, so you won't see any snow for the rest of the week. So there seems to be a split in opinions about the snowfall last night. Some people like it, some people don't. It's just split.
Yeah, I've definitely heard some people not super happy about this snow in November, but other people are saying, we didn't get enough. We only got an inch or two.
Yes, and these temperatures are actually breaking records across the country, not just Ohio.
That's right. Over 240 million people in the U.S. are under winter warnings, watches, and advisories tonight and into tomorrow. Nadia Romero takes a look at the big chill across the country.
More than 70% of the country bracing for a record-breaking polar plunge.
I'm not ready for it.
Many are sharing bitter feelings about the expected bitter cold temperatures following an early winter storm.
Came a little too soon. I don't have my scraper. I don't know where my boots are.
Snow and ice blanketed part of the plains, Midwest, and Northeast overnight. Over 240 million people are under winter warnings, watches, and advisories. The storm sparking more than 1,200 cancellations at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, where a plane slid off an icy runway.
We thought we were going to flip, so it was definitely scary.
But the biggest issue for many,
now we're watching the temperatures just plummet.
An Arctic plunge. Several cities are opening shelters and warming centers ahead of the frigid temperatures.
We're going to different areas of the city and we're looking for people that maybe for whatever reason don't know about us or some of our partners where they can go in. For whatever reason they may think they just want to tough it out in the weather.
Many schools in the Northeast are closed for the day. Even states in the deep South, as far as Texas and the Florida Panhandle, will have dramatic temperature drops within the span of hours, from the mid-50s to near freezing. In some cases, temperatures are 30 to 40 degrees below normal for this time of year. I'm Nadia Romero reporting.
And stay tuned to Newswatch. We'll have your full forecast coming up later in the show so you can prepare for the rest of the week. And And the leader of the Ohio Senate is pushing to reform drug sentencing. The bipartisan bill would reduce low-level drug possessions to misdemeanors and allow people who are convicted to have their records sealed. At the same time, the bill increases penalties for drug dealers. Senate President Larry Obhoff wants the bill made a priority as hearings continue this fall. The legislation is part of lawmakers' efforts to reduce Ohio's prison populations. And nationally, 2 Ohio lawmakers want to loosen state restrictions on alcohol. The bipartisan legislation they're proposing would make it easier for churches and nonprofits to get alcohol as part of fundraising events without having to obtain permits. Representatives John Rogers and John Becker are co-sponsoring the bill. Becker says he thinks the law is out of date and needs improvements. And Ohio is starting the process of implementing a work requirement for Medicaid recipients. The extension requires Ohioans to work 20 hours a week or lose their benefits. It'll affect thousands of people. This week, Ohio Medicaid sent out a letter detailing how the state will go about it. But State Medicaid Director Maureen Corcoran says they're trying to make it a smooth transition.
We are going to have a warm handoff, a contact with people. We're not going to just kick them off.
Corcoran said 2/3 of the 600,000 people in Medicaid expansion will be exempt from work requirements. This would include things like if they are caring for a child or are already working 20 hours a week but still make less than the federal poverty level. And tree farmers in Ohio are joining forces with the state to send a little holiday cheer to the troops overseas. The Ohio Department of Agriculture and the Ohio Christmas Tree Association are sending more than 100 trees to military members. These photos were posted on the Department of Agriculture's Instagram page this morning. Volunteers were there to help get everything wrapped and loaded. Public impeachment inquiry hearings are starting tomorrow. Who's scheduled to testify and how Republicans are gearing up their defense. Plus, the fate of thousands of undocumented immigrants is on the line. The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments from both sides of DACA today. Those stories just after the break.
On Life from Above. Looking down from space, satellite cameras capture the dramatic ways our planet is changing, revealing the powerful forces that influence our world. From the seasonal cycles that come and go, to the way humans are impacting the Earth. Discover the incredible ways our planet changes, as you've never seen them before.
Art is important because it shows who we were, where we came from.
Through my art, I'm creating a more powerful woman within myself.
Inspiration is everywhere. It's important that we learn our culture, our practices. We are tied to the land. That's our blood. That's where we come from.
Our planet is filled with creatures both great and small. But it's often the Goliaths that capture our attention. Being the biggest beast ever, or simply the biggest of your kind, has its advantages. But it also comes with challenges. Take a closer look at how these oversized animals overcome some of life's big problems.
Artist, inventor, enigma, Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo embraced mystery.
Is science the key to his Mona Lisa?
This is the beating pulse underneath her skin.
There was a reason for every decision in every life.
He doesn't make a distinction between the arts and sciences.
Decoding Da Vinci on Nova.
And one White House acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney says he won't sue over the House impeachment proceedings. In a court filing today, Mulvaney says he'll rely on the direction of President Trump instead. This comes after he asked to join the lawsuit of another Trump advisor who's also refusing to cooperate with the investigation. Before then, saying he would rather bring the case on his own. Mulvaney was subpoenaed to appear last week for a closed-door deposition, but did not show up. And Congress is gearing up for the impeachment inquiry of President Trump to go public. Live hearings are set to start tomorrow, and the schedule is a lot to keep track of. Suzanne Malveaux breaks down what we can expect to see and hear.
The impeachment countdown ticking closer to public hearings tomorrow. First, the public will hear from top diplomat to Ukraine Bill Taylor and Deputy Assistant Secretary of State George Kent Wednesday. The former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, testifies Friday. Their testimony is expected to detail explosive claims, alleging President Trump pressured Ukraine to launch investigations for his political benefit. So how will this week's hearings work? House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff and Republican Ranking Member Devin Nunes will lead the sessions. They'll have 45 minutes each to question witnesses, with staff lawyers likely playing a big role. All other committee members will get 5 minutes each to do the same.
Our strategy is to focus on the facts.
Meanwhile, House investigators releasing 3 more transcripts from their closed-door depositions, including former Ukraine aide Catherine Croft, revealing the summer hold on assistance wasn't the first time the Trump administration delayed military aid for Ukraine. Croft telling lawmakers that in 2017, then Budget Director Mick Mulvaney held up plans to send missiles to Ukraine, saying he was concerned that Russia would react negatively, despite claiming all of the policy agencies were in support of providing the equipment.
What's Mick Mulvaney doing making that decision when he's the head of OMB? It's extraordinarily unusual.
Croft also testifying Mulvaney was involved in Ukraine policymaking this year, working alongside Trump mega donor turned U.S. ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland. The claim corroborating former top Russia advisor Fiona Hill's testimony. And according to Croft and Laura Cooper's testimonies, Ukraine was aware about the hold on security assistance earlier than previously believed. Cooper, the only Pentagon official to testify in the inquiry so far, recalling a conversation with then U.S. envoy to Ukraine, Kurt Volker, in August, saying he gave a very strong inference that there was some knowledge on the part of the Ukrainians. In that same meeting, Cooper says Volker explained an effort that he was engaged in to see if there was a statement that the government of Ukraine would make that would somehow disavow any interference in U.S. elections, adding the path that he was pursuing to lift the hold would be to get them to make this statement.
President Trump has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. After this week, lawmakers expect at least 1 more week of public hearings. The Supreme Court is reviewing the Trump administration's push to end protections for so-called dreamers. Lawyers for both sides made their arguments today. At the same time, demonstrators gathered outside the Supreme Court building in support of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. DACA protects undocumented immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children from deportation. Some lawmakers have been speaking out against ending the program, saying this is a question of character and morality.
I think also the Supreme Court has an opportunity to avoid plunging this nation into a crisis, a domestic crisis that will only feed the division and the hatred that's going on in this country.
The Supreme Court could announce a ruling in June. The pool of Democratic candidates for president just got a little bit bigger. Former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg was in Arkansas today to file for the state's Democratic presidential primary. The state's deadline to run is today. Bloomberg says he does not believe any of the current Democratic candidates are positioned to defeat Trump. If he does officially run for president, the multi-billionaire would likely skip early contests in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina. Former President Jimmy Carter is recovering after an operation to relieve pressure on his brain. He was admitted to the hospital last night. The Carter Center says brain pressure was caused by bleeding from recent falls. Neurosurgeon Dr. Sanjay Gupta says that Carter probably hit his head during one of the falls. Once that happens, the small amount of bleeding on top of the brain eventually accumulates and causes pressure.
What that procedure involves is actually just making a small hole on top of the skull here, and typically a second hole as well, and getting into that fluid collection.
Carter, the 39th U.S. president, turned 95 last month, making him the oldest living former president. Carter will remain in the hospital for observation. And tech companies most likely to prioritize ethical issues that are important to Americans. That's according to a study released today from Forbes and the nonprofit research group Just Capital. Microsoft was at the top of the list as most ethical companies for the second year in a row. Other companies like Facebook did not make the list at all. And hurricanes are becoming more powerful and more destructive. Why scientists say they are more threatening compared to a century ago. That story's still ahead.
There was snow last night. Is there more snow coming? I'll talk about that in my full forecast. But first, here's a look at stocks of local interest.
An American Experience.
The idea of a subway in Boston was an enormous risk.
It was one of the most important engineering achievements of our time.
The conditions are much more challenging than imagined.
And there is tremendous chaos.
People were horrified. There was a lot of opposition to it.
The Race Underground, An American Experience.
We as Native people, we don't fit into the Mexican, we don't fit into the Puerto Rican, we don't fit into the blacks, and we don't fit into the whites, so we're a separate group. That Indian has to walk in two worlds. He's already pressured in society, much as he had war and its aftermath to it, and he struggles. He really does struggle.
The Hamptons are at the very east end of Long Island.
We have some of the wealthiest people on the planet.
And right in the middle of that, we have a Native American Indian reservation.
The Southampton Town Board has made massive efforts to protect their colonial sites, but they don't make an effort to help preserve our Native American sacred sites.
We have to live here together.
Conscience Point.
Art is important because it shows who we were, where we came from.
Through my art, I'm creating a more powerful woman within myself.
Inspiration is everywhere. It's important that we learn our culture, our practices. We are tied to the land. That's our blood. That's where we come from.
Hi, I'm forecaster Alyssa Lanier. Right now in Athens, it is 24 degrees and it feels like 17 degrees, so it is very chilly outside. So I hope you're wearing a coat if you're at that football game right now. It is partly cloudy right now and the pressure is increasing. It is 24 in Athens, 27 in Ripley, 27 in Ironton, 27 in Jackson, 23 in Chillicothe, 25 in Columbus, 22 in Newark, 25 in Cambridge, all under partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. The hour by hour tonight at 8 p.m. it will be 20 degrees and it will be partly cloudy. There will be calm winds at 10 p.m. and it will cool down to 18 degrees. And at midnight, it will be chilly at 17 degrees, so definitely bundle up again. Tonight, it will be 15 degrees in Athens, and there will be a full moon under partly cloudy skies. The winds will be from the northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Tonight, across the region, it will be 15 degrees in Athens as the low, 15 in Ripley, 16 in Ironton, 14 in Jackson, 12 in Chillicothe, 12 in Columbus, 14 degrees in Newark, 13 in New Lexington, 14 in Cambridge, 17 degrees in New Martinsville, and 16 degrees in Marietta, all under partly cloudy skies tonight. The bus stop forecast tomorrow morning will be 17 degrees at 8 a.m., so it will be very chilly, and there will be calm winds. There will be increasing clouds at 10 a.m., so it will become partly cloudy at noon at 30 degrees. Tomorrow in Athens, it will be 35 degrees as the high, so it will be about the same temperature as today, so again, it will be chilly. There will be no precipitation tomorrow, and the sunset will be at 5:15, and the winds will be from the south-southeast at 0 to 5 miles an hour. Tomorrow across the region, it will be 35 in Athens, 37 in Ripley, 37 in Ironton, 30 in Columbus, 34 in Newark, all under partly cloudy skies. Looking at the upper air, the jet stream, we will be under a ridging pattern tomorrow, so that is why we will see fair weather in our area. We are under a high pressure system today because that low pressure system moved out of our area last night, and tomorrow that high pressure system will remain, and then on Friday this cold front will push through, but they won't bring a chance of precipitation. Looking at the week ahead, on Wednesday, it'll be 35 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Thursday, it will warm up a little bit to 46 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Friday, there's a 10% chance of rain, and it will be sunny at 45 degrees on Friday. Looking at your weekend, it will be a pretty nice weekend, no precipitation. It'll be 43 degrees on Saturday and 47 degrees on Sunday. Monday, into your work week, it will be 50 degrees. On Tuesday, it will be 51 degrees, and it will be partly cloudy with a 10% chance of rain. And the lows will be in the low 20s to 40 degrees, so it will be very chilly at night. If I have any advice for the people, I would definitely say bundle up and wear a lot of layers because it will be cold next week.
Yeah, because these temperatures are lower than normal, right, for November?
Yeah, the average temperature for today is 56 degrees.
Yeah, we're definitely not seeing 56 degrees, are we?
No.
Thanks, Alyssa. And hurricanes are becoming more powerful. A new study found that the most destructive hurricanes are hitting 3 times more frequently than they did a century ago in the United States. Climate scientists have shown that higher temperatures in the oceans and the atmosphere are creating more extreme weather and storms. This is a result of burning coal, oil, and other fuels. Experts for this study measured how big and strong hurricanes were, not just how much money they cost. These are storms like 2017's Harvey and 2005's Katrina. The Ohio football team is looking to rebound after a tough loss to Miami last week. The Bobcats host Central Michigan on Ohio's senior night. Everything you need to know and reporter coverage from Peden Stadium is coming up after the break. But be sure to stay with WOUB even when Newswatch is over. Here's a look at what's coming up on your public television station tonight.
On American Experience.
The idea of a subway in Boston was an enormous risk.
It was one of the most important engineering achievements of our time.
The conditions are much more challenging than imagined.
And there is tremendous chaos.
People were horrified. There was a lot of opposition to it.
The Race Underground on American Experience.
We as Native people, we don't fit into the Mexican, we don't fit into the Puerto Rican, we don't fit into the blacks, and we don't fit into the whites, so we're a separate group. That Indian has to walk in 2 worlds. He's already pressured in society, much as he had war and its aftermath to it, and he struggles. He really does struggle.
The Hamptons are at the very east end of Long Island.
We have some of the wealthiest people on the planet.
And right in the middle of that, we have a Native American Indian reservation.
The Southampton Town Board has made massive efforts to protect their colonial sites, but they don't make an effort to help preserve our Native American sacred sites.
We have to live here together. Conscience Point.
Meet Pulitzer Prize-winning Native American master storyteller.
There was a house made of dawn.
N. Scott Momaday.
I am a Kiowa.
His voice had a spiritual connection to the land.
You cannot separate the Native American from the landscape. It is his spirit.
And the land was very old and everlasting.
Join us for Words from a Bear.
I turn into a bear on occasion.
N. Scott Momaday on American Masters.
Welcome back. I'm Anna Azalian. The Ohio football team will play at home for the final time tonight as the Bobcats host Western Michigan. The game just got underway at 6:30. Senior night is also being celebrated tonight, meaning the seniors will play in their final game in the green and white in Athens. WOUB sports reporter Brian Kerp has more.
It will be a cold and emotional night for the Ohio football team here at Peden Stadium. They actually moved the start of the game up to 6:30 due to the cold temperatures anticipated. It's senior night, meaning it will be the last time the seniors walk through the tunnel and play in front of the fans here at Peden Stadium. In terms of the game, the Bobcats need to win this game if they want to have any chance of making it to the MAC championship in Detroit. Last week's loss to rival Miami dealt a huge blow to Ohio's chances of winning the MAC East, but there's still football to play this season.
You know, this has been a team that's come out every day to practice, worked hard. This past week was a special week. Obviously, they knew the importance of this game. The fact that we didn't get it done is a setback. But what lies ahead is important to us.
What lies ahead is Western Michigan, the top team in the MAC West Division. The Broncos' offense has found success in conference play.
Their capabilities on offense are good. You know, they're averaging, well into the 30s, maybe 35 something, and points a game, and so obviously that tells you that they're capable of putting points on the board and finding ways of doing it. And the way they generally do it is really wearing people down and running it really well at them for 4 quarters.
Tonight's game carries even more meaning for the seniors. It's the last time they'll play under the bright lights at Peden Stadium. No matter their role, each senior is significant to the football program.
Every time the senior game comes up and you get reminded of your seniors and you start to look at what they've contributed, and it's so meaningful to have your seniors recognized, because they've gone through a lot in the time that they've been here or in any program. I mean, you add up the hours that they put into this sport and the demands of this sport, and then how they work to represent the university at the highest level that they can. Love what these guys have done and what they've been about.
Now tonight, Nathan Rourke has a chance to do something no other Bobcat has ever done, and has reached 100 career touchdowns. Be sure to stay tuned on our social media at Bobcat Showcase for post-game content. From inside Peden Stadium, for Newswatch, I'm Brian Kerp, WOUB Sports.
Thanks, Brian. Be sure to tune in to tomorrow's Newswatch for highlights and reaction of tonight's game. And when you put a note in the bottle, you don't usually expect that you'll get a response. But Max Vrendenberg did. Max was 10 years old when he threw a note into the ocean, and it took nearly a decade for a man in France to find it and write back.
I first read his letter, my heart stopped, my stomach just dropped. I was like, oh my God, my 10-year-old wish just came true. This is insane.
Max says he wrote about himself in his letter, saying that he liked the beach and that his favorite color was blue. The man who wrote back signed his name as G. Dubois, and thanks to social media, Max says they connected on Instagram after he shared pictures of the letters.
Right, tomorrow in Athens it will be 35 degrees and there will be no precipitation. The sunset will be at 5:15 p.m. The winds will be from the south-southeast at 0 to 5 miles an hour under partly cloudy skies. Across the region tomorrow will be 35 in Athens, 37 in Ripley, all under partly cloudy skies. Taking a look at the week ahead, on Wednesday it will be 35 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Thursday it will be 46 degrees, a slight warm up. Friday it will be 45 degrees under sunny skies. Saturday it will be 43 degrees. Sunday it will be 47 degrees. Monday it will be 50 degrees, and Tuesday it will be 51 degrees. Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Alyssa. And that does it for tonight's broadcast. Thanks for watching. I'm Anna Azalian, and stay tuned for PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
What's up? My name is Joseph Hennessy. I am the host of the 21st season of Gridiron Glory. Make sure to tune in every Friday night on WOUB.